today's message is the White House or God's house? Which one will you listen to? The White House or God's house? Which one will you listen to? And in this pandemic and in these times, which is a crucial time for election of the president, the country seems to be divided, and many are worried about what the results will be, whoever the winner may be. And what disturbs me more, when I was praying about this, I shared it with my wife. I said, you think this title that God just gave me would be fitting? She said, that would be something rare. To talk about the White House and God's house. And last night, I stayed here and meditated all night, and God gave me words just dropped down from heaven, what to say to you today. Because a lot of people have now taken their eyes off God and listening to man. And my word to the church today is not what the White House says, but is what God's house says. It's not what the president says, but it's what God says. And there are two houses here I want you to look at. Now, we all know that the White House has a powerful reputation around the world. It was built in 1789 and designed by an Irish named James Watling. But it was also built by George Washington, who was our first American president, on 1600 Street in Pennsylvania. We all familiar with that avenue in Washington. I once had the privilege twice to be invited to the White House. First invited there by Jimmy Carter and honored as one of an outstanding young clergy at the time. But the greatest moment came when I was invited by President Clinton himself. And I and Dr. Joe Lowry and Dr. Joseph Roberts were the three pastors chosen in Atlanta to come to Washington to be a part of President Clinton's health plan. It was quite an honor to be invited. And of course, as some of you know, he sent Vice President Gore here to our church to tell me thank you as the first Afro-American preacher to endorse Clinton at that time, right here in our pulpit. And I had an opportunity to see Rose Garden, and while I was walking around in the White House and looking at a place I've dreamed to see all my life, I was not that impressed. I said, these are old buildings, old-looking buildings. I looked for some palace, some exclusive place, some very unique furniture, and I was not impressed. Looked like an ordinary building. And then when I went out to Rose Garden and met President Carter, I was still not impressed. I said, this just looked like to me an average park. But anybody will tell you, when they built the White House, George Washington built the White House, but they wanted to take it to New York, but then they decided to take it to Washington, but it was actually an old prostituting ground. And they took the old house and tore down the prostituting house and built it like in a wide area, but he wanted it beside the river. And they said, well, why? I didn't want no palace. He said, I didn't want no palace. They could have built a palace as great as any of the palaces that Putin got, or any of the other monarch got. These huge palaces. I've been in some of these palaces, and I said, I thought the White House, even the Queen living in a palace. And why didn't they make this a big palace that people could really walk in and be overwhelmed by the size and the luxury of it? Mr. Watson said he cut the building down. I don't want it big. I wanted just a simple looking White House. White House, just a White House. And only on 18 acres of land with 132 rooms. He said, I don't want people to get all caught up in how the building look, because it's not about the building. It's about the people in the building. And he didn't want us getting all excited over bigness, because sometimes we think bigness means greatness. And what we have to understand, greatness is not always big. There are small little things that can put you on the side of the road. Just a bolt off your tire can put you on the road. A little boat. And we need to understand it's not always about how things look on the outside that's important. And this White House was a place that was built to design democracy, freedom, not slavery, for the people, of the people, by the people. The White House, I need you to know this, was built by slaves. And those slaves that built the White House, they need to tell the truth. Slaves built the White House, and they only gave them meat and cornbread for the labor of building the White House. And when they got through building the White House, George Washington didn't make it. He didn't live long enough to see it. Then John Quincy Adams, second president, was the first man to sleep in the White House. As president, Mr. Trump has put an expensive chandelier in the Oval Office, and he has put gold curtains and things in the White House, and on the third floor is where the president lived. But then there are 3 levels. That was a time that some of us don't know, the White House got burned down. Back in the days when England was trying to take over the new colonies, they managed, the British, to get at the White House, and they burned it down to the ground. And that was been a hard time, and some of us don't know, even when Truman was president, some of the floors of the White House was about to cave in. They even reported that when the piano was in it, it looked like the whole floor was just shaking, because it was old and had not been repaired. And in Truman's day, they actually tore all the building apart down to the ground, which is 3 levels, and rebuilt it and made its stability there at the White House. There was a time that even in our late 2000, forgot the year, but they were building a building beside the White House. It was called a little old, oh my God, it was like a box. Yes, it was called a box. And what was called at that time the Great Dig. The Great Dig meant they had put a fence up and covered up the White House on one wing so you couldn't see what it was. And it was called the Great Dig, and reporters tried to find out what are they digging, and nobody wouldn't tell us. But they were actually digging something bigger, going further down in the ground as like a fallout shelter for the president. Now, why did they do that? America found out that since the 2 towers went down and a plane was headed to Washington, they found out that as great as the White House is, it could be hit. That's not impossible that a bomb or a nuclear bomb could hit and destroy our leaders. So they never told you what the Great Dig was. But now that the fence has been moved and we see it look like a plain building, but when they had some controversy here and they were about to attack the White House, as you know, the President Clinton went, Trump, they took him down in one of those, that fallout shelter. They made the situation room down there, made it big. That's the room, the situation room, another room where Obama was president, and we were watching them kill Hussein. So a whole lot of things went on down there, more computer, up to date. A lot of things, there's a lot of secrets about the White House that I don't want to stand up and preach about the White House, but I want to show you how to be so caught up in the White House slogan. One of the things I want to go on record and say that we hold these truths as self-evidence that all men are created equal. I don't think they had us in mind when they said all men. We hold these truths as self-evidence that all men, I think they meant to mean some men. I don't want to go on record to say, but maybe the White House to some folk mean is just a White House. And no other color but the White House. That the only some folk want in there is just the White House. But it's everybody's house. Not only just white, Caucasian, but black, brown, yellow, all the White House supposed to represent everybody's house. Now, so much about the White House, let me tell you why I want to tell you this. Which one of them are you listening to? You're supposed to be the saints of God. God rules this world, not the White House, but it's important about God's house. A lot of you begin to panic, want to know what the president going to say, want to know what Congress going to say. It's not about man. It's what house God has established that he speaks to us through. Now, let me tell you something about the White House and God's house. The White House had slaves and to build the White House, but God doesn't use slaves for building his house. God used his son and his testimony to build his house. Another thing about the White House versus God's house, I discovered when I got ready to go in the White House, I had to give all of this information to the security and secret agents that were there, and they had to pull up information on me before they would let me in. But I know 2 people didn't get in that were invited. Because everybody can't go in the White House. When President Gore came here, sent by Clinton to our church, I recommended the beautiful restaurant to take him to for breakfast for a reason. I wanted him to see how some black folk can cook. And they shut down all of Cascade. And he went there and ordered some pancakes. Beautiful restaurant had some of the best pancakes. And when he left the vice president there, he came to our church, and we didn't have this wing then. He came into my office, and when he walked in, he said, "Man, Pastor, I enjoyed those pancakes." But before, when he came here, all week, secret agents were all over our church, and when he got up to speak and said something, all the dignitaries were here, the mayors and the governors were here. We got it on video. And when he finished to leave, the next few weeks, all our phones were messed up. And every time we got ready to say something on the phone, we heard some click, 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 click. And one day I just got tired. I said, "I'm not doing nothing." After a while, the clicking stopped. Because they were bugging the phones. They were listening to everything. Because everybody can't go near the president. Everybody can't go in the White House. They used to could. When President Abraham Lincoln was president, you could walk right up in the White House. They didn't have no guards. But they had to change it after he was assassinated. So you can't go in the White House. I don't care who you are. But you can come in God's house. Jesus said, "Whosoever will, let him come." And it's so awesome. You don't have to have no money to come in this house. You don't have to have a certain status to come in this house. You don't have to be in who's who of America to come in this house. I don't care how bad you've been, how low you live. You can walk right in because this is God's house. It's not about the White House. It's God's house. Another thing, I got a problem about the White House. They say it's a democracy, and they say in God we trust, and then we'll put a Bible up there in front of the president to swear on it, and then kick God out. America shut God out, and yet got the leader putting his head swearing on the Bible. Why is prayer out of school? Took prayer out. I prayed in some political places where they told me you can pray but don't call the name Jesus, because you will offend the Muslim and offend Allah and other religions. I didn't call the name Jesus, but I said everything but Jesus. I said the rose of Sharon, the lily of the valley, the bright morning star. I said I didn't call Jesus. But the saints recognize it. We have shut God out. And when a nation shut God out, it can't stand. Some of you have shut God out at home. Some of you have shut God out in your life. And every time people shut God out, God shut them out. I'm working on a sermon next time. You want to hear this one when you never heard. When God cut your water off. See, you don't pay your water bill, they shut it off. So be looking for that next Sunday. So listen, friend, have you shut God out your life that you so busy, crowded, doing everything, you have no time for God? We have taken everything from God. We've taken Easter away from God and gave it to a rabbit. We've taken Thanksgiving away from God and gave it to a turkey. We've taken Christmas away from God and gave it to Santa Claus. We're shutting God out. And one of the reasons why I believe there's a pandemic here, as I preached the last Sunday, when God sets a bush on fire. God sometimes sets a bush on fire to get man's attention. And this virus has gotten our attention. I was just looking on Facebook, a lot of farmers are on their knees praying all in the yard. That was a time, and you're going to tell me you don't toot no horn? It's time for somebody to praise God and let the world know Jesus is in charge. Don't let your education shut God out. Some of you used to shout in church. Now that you got a PhD, you sit there and say, It doesn't take all of that. Shutting God out. Another thing about the White House is they say it's controlled by the people. But God's house is controlled by God. See, God is the ruler who controls his weather. We planned to have it sunny this morning, and God sent a terrible flood to let even us know. And when I was seeing that flood, you know what I said? You're in charge. I said, Lord, if it rains, we don't go out there. I'll let a few come into church, but you in charge. The devil was trying to tell me, see, God messed up your plan. God, see, he ain't condoning this. All that pretty weather all week, and soon as we get this Saturday, it was looking all right. Here come this rain at the evening time, and rain all night, and somebody said, Pastor, we're not going to be able to have this service because it's going to rain all night. But while it was raining all night, I was praising him all night. And I called Todd about 6 o'clock this morning. I said, Todd, I don't know what we're going to do. We may have to put this stuff up. He said, let's just wait, Reverend. I said, I'm going to wait and see what God's going to do. And if it rains, we'll come in. If not, we'll just do whatever. You got to learn how to trust God when you can't trace him. Because God's ruling. God made this world. God's control. Why are you worrying about what's going to happen in the election? God rules. If God could let a black man get elected in America when I never dream I'd ever see it, I think God did that. There was nowhere in the world this country was going to elect a black man for president, and probably never will again. And God did that. It was the time for it. But it took a crisis. And sometimes a crisis always gives God an opportunity. It was a woman who didn't get on, who refused to sit down at the bus that brought up a Martin Luther King. It was the birth of a baby that caused them to kill all their babies in Egypt, Moses. God knows how to take something and bring forth something. Amen. Another thing I want to tell you about the President's house, the White House and God's house, he can't stay there but 8 years. But when it comes to God's house, he's from everlasting to everlasting. You can't vote on my God. He will always be in office. Oh, let me go on here. I got some more stuff I wrote. We in the White House, you get a holiday called Independence Day. But the house of God is not the declaration of independence, but the declaration of dependence. I will lift up my eyes unto the hills from which all my help come from. It comes from the Lord. I'm dependent. I'm not independent. I'm dependent on God. I'm dependent on him in the morning. I'm dependent on him at the noonday. I'm dependent on him midnight. You are here today because you are dependent on God. Toot your horn one more time. Say it's not about the White House. It's God's house. Something else I want to tell you about the White House versus God's house. I never heard of nobody's life being changed going in the White House. But God's house will change your life. You see, one thing I like about God's house, ain't no Watergate there. Because the Holy Ghost run the church. And he won't let no Watergate go on in there. There are no secrets in God's house. It's no secret what God can do. What he done for others, God will do for you. Aren't you glad? God, you know you can come in God's house one way and leave out another way. You can come in here mad and leave out glad. You can come in here upset and leave out of here set up with fire. You can come in here feeling sick and leave out healed. You can come in here with your head down and leave out with your head up. Got something about God's house that make you feel different. Have you ever noticed you will walk in here in pain and before you know it, when you're in here, you don't feel nothing? The anointing is in God's house. The power is in God's house. Hallelujah. Now, another thing I want to tell you about this house, God's house, is safe. That's why I want you to be in this house. You safe in this house. Now, you can go up the street and go in those other houses. And you know, when you go in there all right, you come out bad. Amen. Amen. Look at somebody say, I remember that. Nobody wanted to toot then. you remember when you went in there boogieing and filling that liquor? Said, I remember that. But in the house of God, it's a whole different feeling. No, I'm not drunk on liquor, but I'm drunk on the Holy Ghost. He makes me shout. He makes me run. He makes me happy. I don't have to wait on no happy hour. I'm happy every day. Did you know, listen, did you know you safe in the church? You don't have to worry about nothing when you safe. That's why you go to church. It's like Noah's Ark. When the rain comes, all those that went in the ark were saved. And if you're not in the ark, you need to get in here so you're safe. So when judgment comes and God's wrath come down, you don't have to worry about what's going to happen to you. Can you lift your hand and say, I'm safe? Now the psalm said, I was glad when they said unto me, let us go in the house of the Lord. There's something I like about it. It's about, I was glad when they. So you got to say, I, they, and us. I was glad when they said unto me, let us go into the house of the Lord. So church is about I, us, and they. See, all of us are together. There are no big I's and little U's. When it comes to God's house, I'm in there, the us in there, and the they in there. We are all one happy family. Thank God, I'm glad to be in this number. I was glad when they said, why am I glad to be in God's house? You ready for this? Why are you glad to be in something 87 years? The church is a recharger. The church is a battery recharger. You may have your battery. When we were trying to clean this parking lot up, I had guys out here weeding out the parking lot all day, putting in some gravel. I worked hard. You see where I had all these trees cut back that were leaning over the park. I brought in a bobcat and knocked all the dirt all back. Oh, I've been spending money. And people said, why Pastor working so hard? I said, I want my member when they pull up here to say our church is well kept up. And I went over to Summer Hill and built another little road up there and pushed all that grass and gravel and stuff up and that was blocking the parking lot. I'm a busy pastor. I see about your place for you. But here's the point. I was noticing when one guy was trying to weed back there, the thing kept going out. He needed to recharge the battery. You know what church is? It's a charger. It's a battery charger. You've been running all week and you came on Sunday morning to get recharged. What you getting this morning is a charge up. When the praise team was singing, you were charging up. When the preacher was singing, you were charging you up. Building you back up. The devil been wearing you out all week. And sometimes you felt like you couldn't make it. But since you got here this morning, you ought to be able to toot your horn and say, I'm being charged up right now. Charge me up so I can run a little stronger. Charge me up so I can pray a little louder. Charge me up so I can sing a little more. Charge me up so I can witness. I tell you, I'm about to get charged up here in a minute. Now, I'm not supposed to be preaching out here in this weather like this, but amen. But you know, I thank you, Jesus, for some sun. I'm going to tell you something else about God's church. You don't have to worry about a big crowd to have a church. It doesn't take but 2 or 3. Now, some folk are in love with the White House that they don't pay attention to who's in there. And some folk, hear me now, are in love with church buildings. And they only go there because it's a new big church. When we first opened up as the first largest black church in the city of Atlanta at the time, couldn't get them in the door. We were new. They were running in here from everywhere. Every politician, even some of the actors were coming here. New. And soon as another big church came up, they went there. And some of them had gone so much they run out. Now they're waiting on the next big church. People like going where it's a whole lot of excitement, a big church, and they feel safe in a crowd. But you don't have to have a crowd to have a church. It doesn't take but two of you. He said, where 2 or 3 are together in my name, I am there. So some of y'all right now can have church in your living room. Right now, while I'm preaching, some of you can be shouting hallelujah as long as Jesus is there. But see, it's not about this building. This is not the church. This is where the church meets. The church is in you. You are the church. And guess what? The devil knows it. That's why when you praise God without anybody there, he gets upset. He starts telling, where's your praise partner? He starts telling, where's the preacher? You got to learn sometime when you sick to lay hands on your own pain. You got to learn sometime when you can't get the preacher, lay hands on your own pain and rebuke the devil in your house. You got to make sure that whatever you do, you don't need a whole lot of folk to help you praise him. You don't need no praise team if you got praise in you. And then not only the church didn't have a whole lot of folk versus the White House, the church can meet anywhere. Man, you can get on the corner down there and have church. You can have church anywhere because you are the church. If you all grasp that, nobody can run you from church. See, you don't go following people, friends, kinfolk. Everybody go there. You're not everybody. What about the church that brought you through? What about the church that got you delivered? Now you've outgrown and talking about I outgrew the ministry. You haven't even started growing. I learned to be thankful to people who brought me through. I learned to appreciate my mother and father who did not forsake me. You got to learn how to be grateful for people who took you in when nobody paid you no attention. Oh, I didn't mean to say that, but that just came out. I'm about to wrap this up. Now, something else about the church. Jesus said, watch this, in Matthew 16 and 18, when he asked the disciples, whom do men say I am? And he asked, some say you Moses, some say you Elijah, but then he said, whom do you say that I am? So he asked Peter. Peter said, I said, Lord Christ, the Son of the living God. Jesus said, flesh and blood didn't give you that, Peter. God gave you that. And upon this rock, I build my church. Let me tell you something about the White House and God's house. The White House caught a fire and burned down, but God's church still moving. Let me tell you something about the White House. The White House may have gotten disrupted and somebody tried to break in it, and somebody did break in one and got in the gate. But when it comes to God's house, it's well secured. Let me tell you something about this thing. When you talk about God's house, is that it's a rock. All the people that have tried to come up and destroy the church fail. You ready for me? The church is waterproof. It went through the Red Sea. The church is fireproof. It withstood the burning fiery furnace. The church is lion-proof. They put the church in Daniel in the lion den and didn't come out with a scratch on him. The church gonna be here. Yes. It's persecution proof. 300 years, my history served me right. The church was under persecution. And all these emperors, Nero and Diocletian, and all these emperors, Caesar, who persecuted you if you were a Christian. Go! Where is Rome, who persecuted the church 300 years? Go! Where are the Caesars? Go! Where is the church? Still marching on. Why is the church still here? It's on a rock. I was just looking at this wrestler the other day, called himself The Rock. And I don't know how many. He's a wrestler, he's a football player, and everything else. But they call him The Rock. But I like to talk to Mr. Rock and tell him who the real Rock is. The church is the Rock. And so some people say, well, what is it? What did he say about this rock of being? He built the church on the truth, the confession Peter made. So people ask me all the time, what's the rock? The confession. A lot of people say, did he build it on Peter? Oh, God, no. If he was building it on Peter, when Peter lied, the church would have lied. And when Peter got scared and ran, the church would have run. No, he built it on his statement, thou art the Christ. Oh, go get that later. He built it on who Jesus is. Jesus is the rock. Stay on the rock. When the wind blows, get behind and stay on the rock. He was the rock, buried in the rock, on the rock, in a rock. Let me tell you something about the rock, God's house. I don't care how many people come up against it. It's going to always be there. Have you noticed how many people try to destroy a church? Look around, it's still there. It's on the rock. Is your home on the rock? If you are building your house on Jesus, the solid rock, it can withstand all storms. Now, I didn't say you won't have some trouble. I'm going to give it to you like this. There are three little pigs. And remember the three little pigs. One was the straw, built his house out of straw. And one built it out of twig. And one built it out of a rock. So here's what happened. The little big bad wolf came. And he said, knocked on the door, little pig, let me in. When he built the twig house. And the little pig said, not by my chinny. The wolf said, if you don't let me in, I'll huff, I'll puff, and I'll blow your house down. He blew down that little twig house and ate up the pig. He came to the straw house. And he said, let me in, little pig. The pig said, not by my chinny. The wolf said, if you don't let me in, I'll huff, I'll puff, I'll blow your house down. He blew down the straw house and ate the little pig. But he came to the other pig that had built his house out of a rock. And he walked up and said, little pig, let me in. Pig said, not by my chinny. The wolf said, I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your ass down. He huffed, he puffed, he huffed, and he puffed, but he could not blow the ass down. It was on a rock. Let the devil huff, let him puff, but I'm on a rock, on Christ, the solid rock. I stand all on the ground. It'll sing and say, yes, yeah, yeah. Let me tell you something else. Toot your horn and say, give me something else, Reverend. Let me tell you something about God's house. You can get forgiveness in here. See, some folk, you go in some places, they don't want to forgive you. But I don't care what you done when you come in God's house. They pull your record up at the White House and won't let you in. They investigate you. They want to know all about it so you don't get near the president. But in God's house, I don't care about your past. I don't care what you used to do. I don't care what they say about you. There's always forgiveness in God's house. Yeah. And then I close when I tell you about God's house and what I like about the church house of God. And not only get forgiveness, but the church today is my way to the future. When I want to know what's going to happen, all the White House can do is predict this is what's going to happen next year. But they don't know what's going to happen. But if I want to know, I go to God's house and I hear what the preacher said, and it tells me what the church going through. I tell you what the church is. It's the bride of Christ. It's Jesus' bride. And that's why I'm glad to be in God's house. That's why I'm glad to be in God's church. I'm a part of the bride. But when Jesus left here, he said, I'm going away to prepare a place for you. And if I go, I'll come again and receive you unto myself. That where I am, there you be also. When Jesus come back, he coming for the church. When Jesus come back, every eye shall see him. When Jesus come back, he gonna catch me up. I'll be caught up to meet him in the air. When the church get through, we'll be caught up to meet him in the air. He's coming back one day. I'm not worried about tomorrow. I know who holds tomorrow in his hand. My Bible said when Jesus come back and snatch the church away, I'm going to the new city, the new Jerusalem. When I get to heaven, walk the streets of gold, swing over the pearly gate, eat at the welcome table. And when I get married to the Lamb, when the church get through and married to the Lamb, it'll be peace in the valley for you and me. I'm not worried about the White House. I'm listening to what God's house says. He's coming back again. Oh yeah, he's coming back again. Are you ready? Are you ready? Toot your horn and said, I'm a part of the bride. I'm glad I know what's going to happen. I'm glad because the church has already told me we are headed to another world. I'm going somewhere where I won't cry no more. I'm going somewhere where I won't get sick no more. I'm going somewhere where there'll always be happiness. So I want to tell you, stay in the church. Stay in the church. I don't care how hard time gets. Stay in the church. If you need a healing, it's in the house. If you need a miracle, it's in the house. If you need a breakthrough, it's in the house. Yeah! Oh, yeah! It's in the house. Stay in the house. Don't let the devil get you out the house. Stay here. Stay here. Stay here. Stay here. Stay here. I'm going to stay here. Stay there in the morning. Stay there. many of you made up your mind you're going to stay in the church? Wave your hand and say, I'm glad I'm in the church. Whatever I need is right here in the house. In this house. Not the White House, but this house. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, oh, yeah. Hallelujah. And maybe somebody here today say, you know, I left the church. You better come back. Because that's what Jesus is coming for. The bride. The church is his bride. Be careful how you talk against it. You bring curses on your life. Be careful what you say in it. Be careful what you do in it. It's holy ground. Jesus said, upon this rock I build my church. It's his church. I'm just God's spokesman. I'm just telling you what he said. He's the owner. He bought it with his blood. You may have some problems with some people in the church. Tell me, where can you go where you don't have some problem with people? There's no perfect White House, no perfect president, there's no perfect church. Always, people just people. And some of them are just trying to get better. Where else can you go where they just open the doors to everybody? Aren't you glad Jesus did that? Now, we know, listen to me, the church has been preaching about what's going on 2,000 years. You know it. The Bible prophesied how men in the last day will shut God out, have no time for church. Church attendance is dropping, but vacations are picking up. Right now, before this pandemic, we were talking about how many churches, the old traditional church losing because young people don't like the old traditional style. But we got to watch it, that we don't get too worldly. I don't mind nothing new with the time, but don't overdo it. Before you know it, we're going to walk in here with shorts on, getting all sexy, looking at each other in the flesh. Coming in here with your all this bust open. One lady came here, I said, send her on to the club up the street, because that's where she need to be. She came down there and sat on the front row, and I said, no, get her off that front row. Go home, put on some clothes. We come in our churches with cell phones, and while the man of God is preaching, you're on the phone texting. Do that in the courthouse and see what the judge will say. There's no respect for the church anymore. It's supposed to be different. But we want to make it our thing. You know why a lot of young people don't believe in God? They want God to be their kind of God. They want him to be the kind of God they're looking for. And they keep listening to what all these folks say online. I heard a man, saw him on Facebook damning the church, and he was talking about being here, throwing his coat and all the folks falling. I wanted to ask him, if you call all this foolishness, tell me what knocked them down. What? Waving a coat, how that gonna knock people down on the floor out? They didn't swallow nothing. Tell me what it is. You say it's foolishness. What makes folk fall when I touch them? There's no religion in the world, Hinduism, Buddhism, Zoroastrianism, and all other ism does it. You know why? They don't want to accept what they can't understand. But I just want you to tell me what made those people fall. And the first thing I listened to that young man talk about, well, I want to talk about it because I went through a bad, rough life with my mom and dad divorced. That's the first thing I was trained when you listen to people, listen to what they first say. I'm saying this person probably bitter about his mom and dad divorce. And sometimes people, when they're hurt about something, they want to take it out on others. And you could be hurt about something and you're talking about somebody, but that's not what you hurting over. You hurting over something that happened in your life. And you don't want to confess what it is that turned you against everybody. He was showing how a preacher was dancing, doing the Holy Ghost dancing, and boy, he was stepping it. He was stomping it. I don't think Michael Jackson couldn't have beat that preacher when he was dancing. And just see that, look at all that furniture. The brother just know how to dunk. The brother just know how to dance. That's art, man. He giving it to God when he used to give it to the devil. If you know how to do it on the floor, do it. Just know. And there's nothing wrong with the way we worship the new church. Just make sure you're doing it for God. The lights, I like them in church. I used to be against it, but now I receive it. I've been warning preachers, look, time's changing. The church is not going to be what it used to be, but it will always be one. The only thing you got to be careful, don't turn the world into it. That is not just there for you to come bring your stuff in, but it's there for God to bring his stuff to you. Because God is writing on the wall. I just want your attention. I'm coming soon. And the church is the only institution Nostradamus and the minds had prophesied in the year 2012. That was the end of time. Now watch this. After 2012, Nostradamus and the mind don't say nothing else about the end of time. They got silent. You young folk who read. Nothing. The church is the only thing that's keep telling us what's about to come. And I know from these signs, this virus has put us on our knees. But I think God's testing us. Are you going to be faithful when you can't come? Are you going to be looking for me at any moment? And if you're here watching me today and watching me and saying you don't believe in all this, that's what they said in Noah's day. They call him a fool. They said they no such thing as rain. But when the rain came, they knocked on the door. Noah, let me in. Noah said, God got the key and I can't let you. It's too late. You have an opportunity now, even while we're in the parking lot service, many members that I haven't seen all year. I know some want to see me, and I know you want to see some members, but I don't want you to do nothing. One thing when I dismiss, get in your car and go home. I don't want you fellowshipping. It's not time to fellowship. So we're going to say if you want to join the church, join right now. As members are joining online, our church, about 18 or 19 have already joined from California to Carolina and the South, and some families have joined. They've been calling all the week. Believe it or not, there should be information saying, I want to join Mount Carmel Baptist Church. And we will receive you. Some of you I've already called in different states. You heard my voice saying welcome. Some of you I talked to. I'm your pastor. And I want you to know how much I love you as a member wherever state. Somebody join in another country. Well, hey, we're happy to have you. And they're tithing online and giving online. Some women have paid their $500 for the covering the house, the roof, out of town. We thank the Lord. Some are still saying, I'm a new member. What does that the church need? We need to put a new roof on. It's been in there 30 years. They're giving $500. I want to be a contributor to that. And some are paying that $87 online. See, you got folk joining new. God said if you people won't come out, raise up a nation that will obey. But I want you saved right now. So just as I am before we go. That's my message. God's All you got to do is say on there right now, I receive Jesus. Come just the way you are. Don't try to fix yourself. Let God do that. Don't kill yourself. Don't give up. Life is a struggle, but God will be with you. Thank you. I love you. I'm so glad to see my cook here today, who's Shirley. She's such a doll. She's a diabetic like Pastor, so she know how to cook for me. And she won't let me eat nothing too sweet. She won't let me do it, you all. Look at her over there. I love her. Amen. Thank you. Been cooking for me for many years. Surprised to see you here, Shirley. And listen now, get in your cars now and wave at somebody. Pastor want us talking, just wave at your friend. Get in your car and get away from here. Amen. And as they come out, follow their instruction, and band's gonna play a little shouting music as they go out. Thank you so much. God bless you. Tune in next week. That's it. Give me a horn, too. For everybody, toot that horn.